I was always sports orientated, loved the beach, surfing, all that. John, on the other hand, not so much sports orientated, didn't like salt water, sand was his enemy. I was more of a knockabout kid riding a push bike all over the place. Put him on two wheels, he'd fall off them.
It's been 34 years since Peter Russell's brother John was murdered. His body found at the bottom of a cliff on Sydney's coast.
He was generous, he was funny, he was honest, he was very giving.
It was around this Bondi neighbourhood in the 1960s that the two brothers grew up together.
Growing up as a kid, it was just being so central. It was always things going on, you know. We knew the kids in there and down on the other corners. Well, this is the Russell family home that I grew up in. Lots of great memories as a child growing up, but it was a very sad end to a very joyous life living in Bondi.
By the 1980s, the brothers still lived in Bondi, but the culture had changed. It was the AIDS crisis, and fears about the gay community ran wild.
In New South Wales, as in most states, the Homosexual Act is still regarded as a serious crime.
Sex between men was illegal in New South Wales up until 1984, and the cliffs around Bondi were notorious for gay bashings. John was gay, but that didn't bother Peter.
To me, you are what you are, and that's it, you know.
He was still your brother?
Yeah. If anything, it probably made me a little bit more guarded of him, you know, if we went to pubs or places like that. I'd heard of poofter bashing and, you know, the gangs like the Rock Crew of Bondi and different other ones around the place.
On the night of the 22nd of November 1989, John went out for drinks at a Bondi pub and never came home. The 31-year-old's last moments were around the cliffs along the coast.
I went to work the next day and I walked into the office and there's two coppers standing there. And I go, "Are you Peter Russell?" And I thought, "Oh shit, what have I done?" You know, like, and they said, "Oh look, we found a body. We believe it could be your brother. We need you to escort us to Glebe Coroner's Court." Well, that's him there.
Peter's wife, Donna, remembers John fondly.
I didn't mind that one either.
Well, John was my friend. We were very close, actually. We used to love to go shopping. We'd have so much fun. And we did a lot of things together. We all just hit it off. We all just got along and we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of plans for the future and of course that's not going to happen.
When police initially investigated John Russell's death, they deemed John's fall from the cliff as accidental. Although there was some concern violence may have been involved, it was not pursued as a murder. The following year, 1990, a coronial inquest was unable to determine whether or not he fell accidentally. In 2001, police reopened the case, leading to witnesses coming forward and persons of interest being identified.
This is to assist the investigators in recreating the crime scene and to also give them some indication of how Mr. Russell may have fallen to his death.
In 2005 came a second coronial inquest, which found John Russell was thrown off the cliff by one or more assailants, probably motivated by gay hate. The Deputy State Coroner slammed aspects of the original police investigation as a disgrace.
Appalling, at best. Lost evidence, lack of want to solve any of it, lack of note-keeping.
A vital clue, human hair on John's hand, was collected by police but later lost. The hair was never forensically analysed.
How do you go back and trace an investigation? It's like a jigsaw puzzle. I don't take half the pieces out of the middle. You can't put it together.
Why do you think that was?
I can only assume that there was a homophobic genre in the senior police force.
Given that evidence is gone now, where does that leave you?
Up shit creek.
Today, New South Wales Police is still under pressure to explain the missing evidence. At an inquiry into gay hate crimes in Sydney, the current head of Police Forensic Services, Rochelle Conroy, conceded that the hair in John Russell's case should have been kept.
And it should have been plain to investigating officers that that clump of hair had forensic significance, potential forensic significance.
Yes.
And it should have been taken into custody as an exhibit.
Yes.
And it should have been retained as an exhibit.
Yes.
And you're able to say that that should have happened even by the standards of the day, aren't you?
Yes.
Is it at all possible that that clump of hair is sitting somewhere in police archives and nobody knows about it because it's either been improperly or irregularly labelled? Is it possible that it might be sitting there still to this day?
It's possible, no?
Duncan McNabb served with New South Wales Police in the 1970s and 80s, including as a detective. A gay man himself, he believes police failures were caused by a variety of factors.
Never put conspiracy football or a stuff-up because a stuff-up always comes first. So I don't think that in most of these cases there is a darker purpose involved. We'd like to think the exhibits were kept in a pristine condition from day one through to for decades. It just simply doesn't happen. So there is a lot of human error. But at the same time, in the early days, and John Russell case is a perfect example, there is an indifference towards how the investigation is going to be handled. And that's how things go missing day one.
He believes homophobia would have played a part in some investigations.
I think there was some anti-gay bias, or just, they got what they deserved, or if they weren't there and that, if the blokes weren't hanging around Cliff's faces in the middle of the night, it wouldn't have happened. So, tough. You play the game, this is a result. And I think for some police that was obviously in their minds. And some police I know were not adverse to going up and stirring up gay men on working beats, go and terrify them, give them a thump every now and then. At the same time, there was a lot of coppers that I know just really didn't care. If that's what you want to do at night, matter for you.
The inquiry is now re-examining the Russell case, sending the clothes John Russell was wearing at the time for new DNA testing. A reward of $100,000 for information that leads to an arrest and conviction still stands, though Peter Russell wants it increased to $1 million.
Do you think the offenders are still out there?
Oh, look, for sure, they've got to be. They've got to be. They're not old enough to be dead. Yet.
What would you say to them?
There would be very little, I'd say.
Peter Russell has been travelling by train from his home on the Central Coast to Sydney to attend the hearings, even for those not connected to his brother.
All the other cases that I've sat through at the inquiry that have the same tones, the same ring to them, the same lack of policing, lack of investigation.
In June, Peter and Donna went to the inquiry together to explain the effect losing their beloved John has had on them.
My name is Peter Russell. I am the brother of John Russell, who was tragically murdered in November 1989. He will always be remembered to me as a loving, caring brother and friend. He was the most caring soul that anyone could meet. The grief was very hard to take.
Because of the circumstances of John's death, I have trust issues and I worry and I panic when my kids go out. I can't sit still, I can't sleep, my mind runs away, and I think of all kinds of possibilities that may occur until I know they're home again.
I look a bit emotional after giving a victim's impact statement, but The wife and I, that's a story that has to be told.
7:30 requested an interview with the New South Wales Police Commissioner Karen Webb, but she declined. 7:30 also put direct questions to New South Wales Police, but it said it would be inappropriate to comment as the inquiry is ongoing.
These memories unforgotten.
Above the cliffs near Bondi sits a memorial with the names of hate crime victims, including John Russell. Last year, 7:30 joined other members of John's extended family, who still cling to hope of a resolution.
I can see John standing at that spot, and the love that he's left behind, we know that he's not gone, but we just hope that he has justice.